Claudia's been over there all
Yeah.
patient.
Yeah,
I'm
I've
loving
Yes.
today because I got nothing. I have no idea what
Nothing.
we're talking about.
Nothing. So first off, caveats. It's not caviar. Okay. So I mentioned it to somebody that I was going to talk about caveats of a transaction
Right.
in real estate and our contracts, and someone's like, "What does caviar have
Is
to
that
do with the
beluga?
real estate?" Yeah. I said, "Well, it's really, really great, but no."
Caviar and closings.
If you-
They're
That's a good one.
right.
That is-
Now,
Appreciate that.
if you do your job properly, will you be having caviar? Yes, right. But again, and I love the book. Excuse me, and I love your 3-pack. Getting someone to answer their own question, it's amazing, and you can bring it up in
Mhm.
any type of conversation. I mean, even at home with your significant other. I mean, sometimes you have to let it be someone else's idea, right? But you feed it. And by answering some of their questions or some of their qualms that you hear that they bring up, they've done it themselves now. So I love that, and I love the psychology of what we do, the sales answering questions. Now, we're not just salesmen. We're not just salespeople, right? We provide people with opportunity, especially the groups, the teams that work on that. That is your motto. Is we don't just sell you homes, we sell you a way of living, investments. It's completely different. But at the basic level, we're there to help people. Even if you're, a mass producer and you're just turning and burning, you've got a TC, you still are helping people. So I want to remind people of that. Don't lose sight of what you're here for. If you have a chance, and we all do, call somebody and invite them to our blood drive. Guess what? Hey, how you doing? You know what? West USA Realty's having a blood drive. Yeah, they do it quarterly. Isn't that amazing? That's an awesome opportunity. We talk about cause marketing.
We'll go from the Boys Burger Club event to the blood drive,
right,
and then go grab some caviar. This is coming out to be a great day.
They may not take that blood. They might say that's not even pumping. So you do probably want to drink a lot of water. But yes, so there's lots of things you can bring up, and I love it. But I do want to bring up some things about our contracts. People and agents these days want to provide so many answers. They're forgetting their own role. Are you a mortgage lender?
No.
No. Are you an attorney?
No.
No. Are you a tax professional?
No.
CPA? No.
I don't even play them on TV.
Right? So why would you answer those questions? And we get lost in trying to help so much that agents are forgetting their role. Yeah. Know your role. Yes, you can say, I've got a great contact for you. Be the source of the source. That's plenty good enough. We want to make sure that you're aware of that, and just remind yourselves, because you're going to want to help and you're going to say the wrong thing, and then you're going to call us when it's too late. So we want to make sure we kind of preempt that. Remember your role. And someone said it earlier this morning to me. We need to get back to the basics. Know your contract. Know your real estate contract. There are a lot of forms, I know, and people keep adding them, I know, and we joke about them, but they're there for a reason. They really, really are. The answers all lie in the contract. So when you do have a broker call and you call me and you ask me about, does the lighting outside stay with the home? I'm going to ask you if you read your contract. We're going to go over that section, because to me, it's important that not only do I give you the answer for it, but you can go and quote it and cite it later. It's a great power once you've read it through. And my husband makes fun of me because I highlight my purchase contracts, like all my forms, because to me, I want to make sure someone sees that stand out. So I wanted to see if you had any questions first, Mike. You always come up with these interesting scenarios.
No, I haven't. No,
that's good, because usually his interesting scenarios are real world things that we're trying to not.
Right. And I knew I was taking a risk by asking.
Yeah.
But again, if I take care of the objection first, then I control the conversation.
There you go.
So I'm trying to learn from the pros here and apply what I hear on a daily basis.
What I'm seeing more and more lately is, one of the byproducts of now everybody having to use the buyer broker agreement, at this point now, it doesn't really matter if I belong to another board. If I'm doing a transaction, the buyer broker agreement now allows me to get paid. And so with that, I'm seeing more and more agents venture off into different areas. They don't necessarily have access to that MLS, but there's enough product in Armless where they can be dangerous, and they are being dangerous.
Yep.
And I just, I'm
Yeah.
just seeing more and more of it. And
Yeah.
it's just at the end of the day, yeah, the money's great. But if I'm putting my client in harm's way, it's just, I don't know.
Right. And is it worth your livelihood? Don't forget, this is how you make a living. Real estate is your profession. So why would you put that in any kind of jeopardy? If you are, for example, we were up north in Pine Top. Thank you guys. It was amazing. Wonderful time.
That was a good time.
We loved the neighborhood. We planned to spend the whole next day sightseeing and looking at properties because it was so, so nice. But like I pointed out to my husband, if we were to buy something in an area like that, I haven't done a deal in Prescott since 1998 when I first started. Knew nothing. Should I have done it? No, probably not. Will I do it now? No, probably not. No, for sure not. Yeah. I'm going to reach out to one of our West USA agents that, I mean, we're blowing it up there, but because they know the area. We've had agents call in and it's like, oh, we're about to close. We're, 3 days from closing, and all of a sudden there's no insurance. They won't insure the property. Well, have you heard of Firewise? Did you do some research? That was not their scope. So stay within your scope because this is what happens, right?
Yeah,
so
totally. Well, what time are you wasting driving 3+ hours, an hour and a half outside of your area of expertise to show homes? And then when that buyer who maybe lives up there wants to go see them on a Wednesday afternoon, how are you getting back up there? How are you serving this client with the full capacity of your fiduciary if you can't get up there to show homes?
Correct. And you're licensed to sell real estate in the state of Arizona. I understand that. That's a great thing. You've earned it, right? That state, that's perfect. However, should you go beyond your scope? No. So that license, well, you can get compensated via referral.
Yeah.
It works amazing. So there is that. So
I'm just seeing more and more of it.
Point,
Sure. No. And I'm seeing, we do see a lot of agents trying to branch out. If you're going to do that, partner up with it. We have so many agents. Partner up, do a great referral, and work the area with them so you become familiar with it. That's what I plan to do.
Yeah, there's the law R4281101 duties to clients. If you look at that, and specifically you look at H, it establishes the minimum standard that an agent can operate in any market under any specialty. And that would be whether it's, commercial, residential, land, business. But it also means residential realty here in Phoenix and residential realty maybe, well, let me put it differently. Residential realty in Peoria and residential realty in Santan. It's possible that you as a real estate agent might be operating outside the area of your expertise in Santan or vice versa when you're dealing with the other sides, because it's not just the residential purchase contract. It's not just residential resale. It's also the area stigmatizations. It's the customs that are associated with those particular types of properties and those particular elevations. So, there's just so much out there. It's not the fact that you can do residential real estate here in Phoenix and I can do it anywhere within the borders of Arizona.
Correct.
That's not what's establishing whether or not you have expertise.
Yeah.
And that brings me to disclosures. Disclosures have been a hugely, hugely popular issue. We want to make sure that not only is the seller disclosing what they know, but if you've had a deal that fell out of escrow and you've been made aware of something and you know that seller doesn't want to redisclose that, no, guys, we need to be careful. Material facts. If your buyer gets notice that they're being laid off and they're going to try to get an offer letter, is that material to a transaction if you're under contract? Yes, it is. If they come back and say, oh no, 2 weeks later, we need another extension, we're not going to make closing because they lost your job. When did they lose their job? 2 weeks ago. How are you going to explain that you did not disclose that? So be very careful. Again, we do have fiduciary to our clients, but if it's a material fact to the contract.
All right. Okay, but let's play the real world.
Here it goes. Okay. Real world
is okay. I'm representing a seller, and something pops up that is a material fact about the property. Deal falls out. new buyer comes along, and my seller says, I do not want you to disclose this. How do I handle that?
Right. So you can go over the responsibility to disclose
Right.
and the duty to disclose. And you can go over your responsibility as a licensed agent. So, regardless if he doesn't want to or not, he is obligated to disclose. If not, he can speak to legal counsel. Not to mention, if talking reality here, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I understand you don't want to disclose that water leak that you had and you guys fixed it. You did a great job, but we have to disclose it because you know what? An inspector is going to come see that proof and then they're going to say, wait, why didn't you disclose it? Even if you forgot, that's going to now put some mistrust in the transaction.
Sure.
What? That's going to blow up on you.
Yeah, the court case Hill versus Jones deals with that. That's where the state says the seller has a responsibility to provide a disclosure to the buyer of all known items or issues or facts about the property. But to this point, it's not just about the property. I mean, it's about there are many things that could be the definition in Hill versus Jones established what a material fact was, and it was any information that a reasonable buyer would use to determine the decision to purchase the property or the price they paid for it, almost quote unquote. So in essence, it can be any reason, obviously whatsoever. But to that particular point of disclosure, Hill versus Jones also is where it discloses that the seller has to disclose that. And if anything changes, that's why we have that section changes in the contract. There's two, one under financing.
I understand that, Todd, but the law says I can't speed. The law says says you can't rob a bank, but people do it. So I'm talking about someone who doesn't care what the law says.
We know what the answer to that is. If that seller will not do that, you cannot receive illegal instruction. You contact your broker. More than likely, your broker is going to have a conversation with the seller. And if that doesn't happen, you're going to end up giving up the deal because the broker's not going to put themselves in that situation.
That's what I was getting to. Yeah, perfect.
And it's okay to fire a client, guys. It's totally okay.
It's your license or them.
Right. Not to mention, I mean, we have a lot of real estate agents in the state of Arizona, but if you get known for letting things happen while you're at the helm and you're the agent, I'll tell you what, it does get around, and credibility is huge. I don't care who you are. If you get known for a certain thing, it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing, especially if people feel like you didn't pay attention or you didn't follow the rules. Rules are important. They're there to help you. They really are, Mike.
Yeah, no, I just, when I know my seller's about to disclose stuff, I stick my fingers in my ear and say, la, 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 I can't hear you. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, boy.
Well, and a lot of times, and okay, here's a shameless plug. Every single Wednesday from 9 to 12, other than the 5th week of the month, we have our CE classes. They're free. Anybody can join. You can come in for 10 minutes and leave. You can come in for an hour and leave. You won't get credit, but you can come in as long as you want on any particular topic that we're talking about, and learn. But here's the difference with my CE versus the others is I'm always telling you what the law says, meaning I'm giving you the law, because I think you're an educated individual. I want you to go out and read it for yourself. And then I want you to talk to your broker, talk to your manager, talk to your, your friend who's a real estate attorney or a tax advisor, any of the people that deal with whatever the topic might be, and then make your own decisions of how you're implementing that into your business. I don't want anybody to ever say, well, Todd said this is the way it's got to be done. No, I don't want that. But I do want people to say, well, you know what? I would have gotten myself into trouble if I hadn't taken Todd's class. And he gave me the law. And I went and looked it up for myself. And you know what, Mr. or Mrs. Smith, I know you don't want to disclose that, but here's the law.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I love having you to my left, because you quote those things so well. It's definitely a gift, my friend.
Well, it's the same thing as every agent. I'm not special, and I know that, and that's what's important. But the thing is that Claudia, to her point of reading the contract, outlining it for yourself, those are important things, because now when somebody asks you a question, you can go to a line number, you can go to here, you can go to a law. And it's no different than when I talk about the laws than Claudia's talking about each section of the contract. Once you begin to know that, your world changes.
Yeah, you've been quoting it a lot longer. Yeah, so good on you.
They used to be on stone tablets back in Todd's day. So
no. I also wanted to. So that brings up a lot of questions about unrepresented buyers. And I get this question a lot. Why do I have to disclose who I work for to that unrepresented buyer? Well, you already disclosed to your client that you in West USA represent them. So now, in the essence of disclosure, you have to disclose to that unrepresented person, the party, that you represent the other party only. So it is something that is required. And I know it may feel weird and awkward, but it's not. It's here you go, Mr. Buyer. I'm sending you over this form that clearly discloses I represent the seller. You need to put that up front. In the spirit of disclosures, a lot of times as a listing agent, you'll get a contract, a nice offer from another agent, another brokerage. They do exist, different level, but it's okay. And but again, that offer is going to have some issues, but more than likely. But if they put this wonderful ABA under other of your purchase contract, it's an affiliated business agreement. They're letting you and your client, not really you, but your client, know that they have a relationship with another outside party.
Mhm.
If they present it during offer phase, great. You show our client this is just them disclosing because they have to. Doesn't affect you. Here you go. Buyer can read it through and sign it off. If you get under contract, you get this offer, everyone's happy, they deposit earnest, or they're on their way to inspection. Oh, by the way, here's this form I need signed from my broker, the other agent says. That passed its time. That should have been disclosed to up front, just like any kind of relationship you may have with that principal. That needs to be disclosed up front, because what if the client, my seller, has an issue with the fact that they may have a working relationship with the lender? What if my seller has that issue? If I don't have that presented, so let's just say they list this ABA on the contract, page 1, line 38, but they never submitted it. That is your job as a listing agent to say, hey, you have stated there's an ABA. I don't have it here. Your offer is not complete. Please send it over. That is your job. It's not, you can't just say, oh, well, they didn't get it to me. That's your job.
In the old days, Mike, agents were worried about this unrepresented buyer and the formalities of the fact that the sellers used to pay the buyer's commission, buyer's agent's compensation, was where this issue really festered and began. Now that the sellers are not responsible and the buyer is the one responsible, this disclosure item has just become so simple for you, because you disclose that you're representing the seller and not them. You provide them with all the proper broker requirements for documentation, but you can still say to them, and if you'd like to have your own representation, go get it. That doesn't change. In fact, it would be better for your transaction if they went out and found another agent to be able to do business. And so in that regard, this issue is an old issue that people have not yet come to the realization has moved on. And this is just a formality now for you to protect your seller and yourself.
Right.
All right. So 2 different scenarios here. So the first one, Todd, in the real world, I tell the buyer, the unrepresented buyer, hey, you know what? Actually, it's a really good idea for you to go get your own representation. But I've initially been having a conversation with them as a unrepresented buyer. We're pretty confident that if they go out and get representation after I've found the unrepresented buyer, whether it was an open house or a sign call or whatever the case is, and then now all of a sudden we get this offer, the offer pretty much we can count on the fact it's going to come with an SEA, and now it's going to put pressure on the seller, and the seller's like, well, you told them to go out and get representation, and now I'm being asked to compensate the buyer's agent. And I'm not saying right or wrong. I'm just saying it can lead to an uncomfortable conversation with your seller.
The seller is not obligated to pay
Right,
that
I understand that.
compensation.
I understand that.
And if you had that conversation with your seller up front, like when you're filling out the listing contract and there's that section called unrepresented buyer, where you're trying to say that there may be some additional compensation that you might be interested in earning in the event that there is one, you just took on a whole new heat. When you add additional compensation to that line, Now you have an interest in that potential unrepresented buyer, not from a representation perspective, but as a seller, it's almost at a point where, why am I going to pay you to deal with this other person that's unrepresented? Wouldn't it be better if they paid their own person and both parties? So again, there's all the different angles, but I understand, and I appreciate the comment in the real world, but the real world is the world we all make. And the real world is the one that we're trying to properly counsel consumers in. And if we're not counseling correctly, we're going to end up in these problems.
But if you set that expectation up front with the seller, and you as the selling agent are going to have to do a tremendous more work with that unrepresented buyer, that line item is there. If and when that buyer does listen and goes and gets their own representation, at least that seller has the expectation that something is going to be passed across.
Well, and and there's not as much of a hit, because if they are represented and you've already asked for compensation on the unrepresented buyer line of the contract, the difference between what you asked for and what now the SCA may come across requesting, or the offer may request in the concessions phase, isn't as big a hit to the seller as it would have been had you not filled out that buyer broker. So I'm not challenging agents on representing a seller when there's an unrepresented buyer. No, that's fine. That's the business. I'm just saying that, when it was compensation driven with a co-broke, then it was a different issue.
And guys, the main goal here, when you're talking about the ER and you're bringing up compensation, is the fact that it all is dependent on that net. So the offer terms can account for any of that. We need to make sure we're controlling that conversation. And it's all about your net. Mr. and Mrs. Seller or sellers, when we get an offer, I will get a itemized statement for you so you can see what the estimated looks like. That's how we're going to determine. It's not, well, you just don't want to.
Yeah.
No, let's look at the numbers, because that's clearly what's important here. That's what you said your motivation was. You wanted money to move on to the next property. So you got to kind of wrangle them back in. And it's not about, well, I don't want to pay that compensation. Well, wait, let's see if your offer allows for it, because it may, right? So you want to do that. I did pull this up. So I did a chat GPT just because, we all do it. I like to see what it says. And I put in caveats of real estate contracts and common mistakes that real estate agents make. Being that I am in that realm of real estate now, where I'm all about, liability and training and answering the questions, I wanted to see what it said. And it actually said the practice of law and disclosures was the number one thing that people do have hiccups with. But then it gave me some coaching tips. And it said, create a stop checklist. Stop and review the contracts. You would think that that's basic, but we get so busy in getting this offer, getting the offer, getting the response back in, because you want to see it go UCB, or you want to get that accomplished. But sometimes it benefits us and our clients more if we stop, read the contract, make sure you read every line. Again, my clients in the past know that I joke because we read every single line every single time. That way they can never say, Claudia, you didn't tell me that my light's hanging outside. Don't stay with the property. Yes, we did. I told you twice, when we listed it and when we got the offer, because we went over every line. So
I want to just clarify, when you say review the contract, you are saying you, the human being, reviews the contract. I don't want to put two and two together where people hear Claudia say she used AI. A human being, you as the realtor, need to put your eyes on every single line of the contract. It is not okay. And you should not be dumping a contract into an AI system and having it review for you. There's a lot of issues there we don't have to get into right now, but you might want to Google it before you do that.
Claudia has a real estate, Claudia has a real estate license. Claude does not.
Correct.
So there's a huge difference there.
Well, the unfun Nick just popped out.
There he is.
It's because he's reading more.
Was it unfun Nick? I thought it was not fun Nick.
It's all the same.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought the bumper sticker we got said not fun.
Back to stop. Track all deadlines. If you're not tracking your deadlines, you're going to get lost. Because while you can maybe do it for one transaction, when they start piling up on you, you're not going to be able to keep track. So if you don't have a TC, and even if you do have a TC, you should track still. It's not your TC's license on the line. It is yours. It is your responsibility. I can't say that hard enough there. Obtain broker guidance when unsure. I love that because it keeps me busy. I loved being up north, but I don't know if you saw me at the Pine Top event. I was on the phone a lot. You guys were wheeling and dealing that weekend. It was great. Everyone was so busy. I had great questions. P, put important communications in writing. So there's that part of the disclosure that increased anytime you have a client sign something now. And it's always been, we should always have copies of it, right? But if they're going to say, if the seller sends a disclosure that they don't have property insurance, they've paid off their home, they canceled insurance, they don't have it covered, so there's no lost claims history for 5 years, that needs to be disclosed to up front. You should let the other side know. So just like the spuds within 5 days, you should definitely disclose all items known. Any additional disclosures does what to the transaction?
Muddies it.
Changes.
It adds 5 days, changes to the contract, changes during escrow. So it's going to add 5 days of disclosure if it's outside of your bins or window. So make sure you're paying attention to your time frames. Business days are not the same as calendar days.
All right, I want to get back to the ABA thing.
Of course you do.
I know. So let's just, for argument's sake, let's just say I'm representing the buyer and the ABA only lists an affiliation with a title company, no other lender, nothing else. It's just a title company. And my offer is going to include a different title company. Am I required to still submit that ABA if it's in the documents tab?
It's a disclosure. They're disclosing that they have a relationship. That title company may not be used. But
Okay.
what if in the future you do transfer over to that title company?
Well, then we have to sign the
It's been
ABA because I feel like, not me, maybe, I feel like if I am going to put in my title company, but with my offer, I submit the ABA, I feel like I'm acknowledging that we are open to discussion. I want them to know it's going to be our title company, and that's part of the negotiations.
Is it your title company or did your client select the title company?
My client definitely selected them.
No, the better question would be, is it a company in which you have a financial interest?
No.
Well, you're not saying your
Well, then,
disclosure, it's their ABA.
I'm just saying in
saying
general,
their ABA.
I just feel like I don't want to concede that we might be open to using this
doesn't-
title company
It
in this
doesn't
ABA.
change. It doesn't
change, no.
allow. It's strictly disclosure.
Understand, but if I'm on the listing side and they've signed that ABA, I feel like I'm in a better position.
No, it's strictly disclosure.
Okay, I'm talking about negotiations. I'm not
Right,
talking
it's
about
not-
paper, and I'm talking
It's
about
just
the
acknowledging.
psychology of negotiations here.
Right, but it's just It's just
Okay.
acknowledgement. It really is not anything. It's not contractual. It's not saying that company is going to be used.
I understand
Because
that.
in the end, no. My buyer has selected such and such title. Then at that point, the buyer rules. The buyer made their offer. Sellers can issue title insurance from another company. However, my buyer has chosen to deposit their earnest money at such and such company, regardless of what they disclose.
Yeah. So I think it's also a really good point right now to make sure we understand that the word escrow service is the escrow process, and the word title truly belongs to nothing more than title insurance. Yes, we use the same name both to mean both, synonymous, I guess. But the reality is the law that we're all thinking says the seller can't tell the buyer what to do is in title insurance, not in escrow selection. So, if you need more knowledge about that, well, then go look it up. But the fact is that so when ABAs come out, it could include escrow as well. Now there are some companies out there that include both.
So my question is, it's in the documents tab.
Yes.
I'm required to have my buyer acknowledge it.
Yes.
So then if I have my seller put together a form disclosing that their agent, me, is the most handsome and charming agent on the face of the planet, that buyer is required to sign it.
If it's incorporated in the contract, lines 36 to 38. Yes.
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 Read
they
the
do.
contract.
I'll have Claude do it. Okay.
Well, do
yeah,
Claude IA. So we have a
Claude
new
IA.
thing now. Instead of Claude AI, I want everybody now to meet the person Claude IA.
Right.
It's actually pretty good.
Yeah, not bad.
Right. I used to hate being called Claude growing up, by the way.
Yeah.
I had an uncle that did it to me all the time. Hey, Claude.
That's weird.
Right? And I wasn't a fan, but
I
thank
like
you guys
I like
so
the
much.
smoky, raspy voice you
Right.
just did there. Dear God.
Oh yeah,
All right, appreciate everybody joining us today. And we'll leave you with the quote of the day, Nick. The most important single ingredient in the formula of success is knowing how to get along with people. Go out and sell a home.